Welcome to NieuwRechts Europe. Election times are upon us. We have a lot of elections this month in Europe, of course, recently in Moldova, in the Czech Republic, but also in the Netherlands on the 27th of October. And you might wonder, the Netherlands? Again? Yes, again, because after only 336 days, the previous cabinet under Dick Schoof collapsed because the PVV pulled out since they were unhappy with how the progress went with the asylum and migration policies. Now, to get a better understanding of this, with me is Bart Reijmerink. He is an editor at NieuwRechts, the best and leading conservative news outlet of the Netherlands. Bart, it's always good to have you here.
Yeah, well, thank you for the invite. And yes, we are going to a new election again. Yeah, now in 3 weeks. So
here we go again. We know that the last time the PVV under the leadership of Geert Wilders won with 37 seats in parliament, it was a monster victory, but it was also a very clear sound from the people that they do not want to comply with the open borders which we had with Mark Rutte, the VVD, for years. They clearly want stricter migration and asylum policies, and none of that actually happened. Why didn't it work?
Well, I think there are multiple reasons. I think the most prominent one is that the PVV delivered some ministers into the cabinet, and one of the ministers, Marjolein Faber, who was the leading minister of our asylum policy, clearly said that she felt that the bureaucrats didn't work for her but against her, so they sabotaged her work. But on the other hand, we also saw clearly that the PVV wasn't ready to be in a governor's position, and that Geert Wilders didn't really have too much capable people of leading a country towards a new start. For example, as we see with Trump in America, where he has like legions of people, of policy advisors, young people, talented people ready to go to war for a better future. And here in the Netherlands, sadly, we don't have that much of a big pool of talent in politics on the right side.
Do you feel that there was maybe also a sort of like deadlock, that the parties genuinely didn't want to change anything because they didn't want to see Geert Wilders succeed? Because in case the borders would have closed or we would have had some deportations, that could have been a victory for the PVV, for Geert Wilders. How do you look at that?
Yeah, well, let's maybe go back and let's have a look at like the cabinet, because of course Geert Wilders became the biggest party of the Netherlands. If I say it right, he had like 12 seats more than the second largest party of the Netherlands. But Geert Wilders didn't become the prime minister. So if I'm talking to like other colleagues from America, no one understands it that the biggest party didn't deliver the prime minister. So that's really strange. So we got like Dick Schoof, who was a former head of our intelligence service. So everyone in the Netherlands calls him like Deep State Dick. So as a joke, but still, it's also like why.
I mean, he was Netherlands' #1 spy in essence.
Yeah, so in essence,
Yeah.
that's really strange. So we had a cabinet, and the leader of that cabinet isn't part of any of the parties, let alone be like a first choice of the biggest party, because Geert Wilders said, okay, if I cannot become the prime minister, then I have a certain person in mind, but that person, Ronald Plasterk, was also sabotaged from becoming prime minister. So we had a false start from the beginning, and well, it didn't get solved because we had we had a cabinet of 4 parties. So we had like the Farmers Party, we had the VVD of Mark Rutte, but Mark Rutte left to the NATO, so we had another party leader there, and we had like a new party built around Pieter Omtzigt, who was a former member of the Christian Democrat Party in the Netherlands. But yeah, it was a chaos from the beginning, because the party of Pieter Omtzigt, well, that party just sabotaged the whole cabinet from the start on until the end. So, yeah, if we look back, was there even a chance of being successful? I don't think so.
And then, of course, the whole reason why he was successful was because migration was the most or is the biggest problem that the Netherlands is facing. Do you think that will be the number one topic as well during these elections, or do you think there's other problems that will get more attention?
No, I still think it's the most, the most or the biggest problem we face in the Netherlands. We even see it with the demonstration culture in the Netherlands. We have like more fierce demonstrations than ever about the topic of like the asylum seeker centers that are being opened in the Netherlands. Even now we have, I believe, on October the 12th in Amsterdam, we have like a big anti-migration demonstration planned in the Netherlands. And that's something new because we didn't have such big demonstrations in the Netherlands about the topic of migration. So even though in the media everyone is talking about the whole Israel and Palestine war and the topic, in all the polls you see that on the first place it's migration. Then of course it's our shortage in the housing market. But if we have what is it? We had last year we had like a net migration number of like 100,000 people. But how can we ever fix our housing shortage if we don't fix our open borders? So all the problems in the Netherlands lead to to the mass migration.
And we see that Geert Wilders, even though his previous cabinet collapsed, it wasn't under his leadership, but he was in that cabinet collapse, that he is still leading the polls in this moment. Do you think people still have faith in him? And do you think he this time around will have a fair shot to actually become prime minister if his party becomes the biggest again?
Well, those are good questions. I still think that a lot of people have faith in Wilders, also because there is no other solution in their mind. Because Wilders is, in their opinion, like the only one who is going to stand up against the current policies, maybe against Brussels, even though he showed that he wasn't able to do it. But there aren't really other solutions. Of course, we have other conservative and right-wing parties, but they don't have they don't have the same effect or the same mythical status that Wilders has. So in that sense, we also have like a big problem in the Netherlands because Wilders showed that he wasn't capable of he wasn't able to do what he promised, but the alternatives are probably not even are not better. So
it's choosing between bad and worse.
Yeah.
But you know, Bart, I know that you write a lot about this topic. You write everything that, what's going on in the new election campaigns by the political leaders. In your perspective, what is your prospect for the 27th? Who do you think will get the most votes? What will the new cabinet look like? And will that mean that something can actually change? Or is this just another deadlock elections that will lead to the same results?
Well, I think Wilders will again be the biggest in the polls, or on election day even. But the whole problem is that our Labour/Green Party will become probably like the second party in the Netherlands again, and we have like a rise of the old Christian Democratic Party that, well, in name it's a Christian Democratic Party, but it's more like a center left-wing party these days. I believe even their party leader isn't like openly Christian anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But the whole problem is that if they get big enough, Wilders can get passed by in the forming of a new cabinet. And for us, I think it's really interesting to see how big a party as Ja21, so that's like a conservative liberal party in the Netherlands, how big they can get. Now in the recent polls, they are around like 13 seats, and they seem to get all their new voters from like the old party of Mark Rutte. And I think that can be a big factor in like forming a new cabinet, because if they can get even bigger, they are the kingmakers. Are they going to make like Wilders prime minister, or are they going to choose for like a center cabinet, which means actually just like a left-wing liberal cabinet?
And last question, if you would be the political advisor and you could help them create their own cabinet. What do you think would be the best outcome for the Netherlands?
Ooh, I think the most ideal cabinet will be a cabinet, of course, with Wilders, but with a lot of like our small right-wing parties that we have. We have like, well, we still have the Farmers Party, we still have like a Christian Reformed Party, and that party is always naturally quite small because only voters from what we call the Bible Belt, that's like a region in the Netherlands that are still active and practical Christians. But they have they have a lot of knowledge in their party. They know how our system works. They know how to make new laws, and that knowledge is quite important to make new policies. Because what we have seen, like the last year, is that we have the whole generation of politicians that they say nice stuff, they promise nice stuff, but in the end they don't know how to deliver. And that can be like multiple factors, but I think that having certain knowledge inside your party and in the end inside the cabinet is crucial to fight against the bureaucrats, fight against Brussels, and just make a country better.
Well, let's hope that your predictions will come true. I think it's important not just only for the Netherlands, but of course also for Europe. We do see, of course, this big revolution of populist parties that are winning all of the elections in the European Union. Hopefully the Netherlands will take that example again on the 27th of October. And Bart, I hope you will keep us posted on that as well.
I will, thank you.
Thank you so much for at home for watching. If you are Dutch, I would really love to hear from you in the comments who you are going to go and vote for. And I would very much recommend you as well to follow then NieuwRechts to stay up to date what's happening on politics in the Netherlands. Thank you, Bart, and I'll see you next time.